Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of OTalakayan Season 3 Mental Health Series. I'm Dada. Yeah, let's see. So while we're waiting for my co-host and her audio, hi Beth.
Hi.
Ayan, it's
Hi.
working.
Ayan. Okay. Okay. Hi. I'm Beth. So I'll just repeat what I said a while ago. So I'm Beth, and we will be your moderators for today. Last Monday, we had our first episode of OT Talakayan, mental health series wherein our invited guest, Nikki Pestaño, shared her knowledge and expertise on movement and yoga for coping. For this afternoon, we will be talking about intimacy and relationships amidst the pandemic.
That's right. Because of the changes brought about by the pandemic, particularly the quarantine, the travel restrictions, social distancing, and work from home setup, even our social lives were somewhat put on halt or a pause. So a lot of our usual activities had to take a backseat. So in my case, I miss going to work and eating or drinking with family and friends, going out basically. So what about you, Beth?
Yeah, the same goes for me. So I really miss traveling and commuting, going to work, and then after work you get to enjoy the area, you explore the area. So that's what I really miss talaga.
So I'm sure our participants have the same sentiments or participants for this afternoon. With that, we would like to introduce to you our speaker. But before we go to our speaker, let's introduce first our reactors for today's episode. So we have on screen Mrs. Bea Maximo Andino, who's also an occupational therapist and the president of the PAOT Central Visayas chapter. And she just got married last month. Congratulations, Bea.
Congratulations.
Hello, thank you. I'm excited for this afternoon's seminar, OTalakayan series. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for accepting our invite to be one of the reactors for this afternoon. We have another reactor. We will be introducing him later once he goes online. So we shall call you on screen later. Thank you, Bea.
Thank
Now,
you.
to introduce our speaker for this afternoon, she has been practicing for 4 years and is the founder of Motivate Activity and Therapy Center and also an OT consultant at the Philippine Mental Health Association. So let's welcome Miss Celine Ibay. Hi, Celine.
Hi.
Hi, Dada and Beth. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see. How do we go about with today's topic? Our topic
Topic.
is intimacy and relationships amidst the pandemic.
Yeah. So, actually, I wanted to talk about this also with other people because I realized that, it's not often targeted eh, in our
Yeah.
practice, right? Like if we have to relate it to OTPF, like in OTPF 3 under social participation, right? We have three aspects: the community, family,
Mhm,
and peers. But now with OTPF 4, there's a lot more. So
mhm,
besides the
Mm-hmm.
community and family, we also have friendships, intimate partners, intimate partner relationships, and peer group also.
yeah.
So with peer groups, I think that's usually more of like support groups,
Mhm,
a group of people basically doing things together, having common interests and goals. So OTPF4 actually made it more specific. Now it's not just
Yeah.
community, family, and peers. It can also be intimate relationships. And I realized that during this pandemic, it may have been highly affected because, there are a lot of people right now who, in their childbearing age, who have relationships. Some maybe even into dating, right? And so it, in a way, they can't because right now nobody can go outside. You can't just bump into someone and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Everything has to be planned ahead of time. So yeah, with intimacy in relationships, it really has been affected during this pandemic. Yeah.
Can
Mhm.
we
Okay.
ask how,
Yeah.
sorry, how the effects of the pandemic affected your relationships?
Ah, for me, okay, because my boyfriend actually lives just in Makati, and
Mhm.
I'm from Marikina. So what happened was during the pandemic, I actually wasn't able to see him for 6 months. So parang long distance relationship
LDR.
din. Na kahit
Yeah.
andyan lang siya, we're still in the same, we're still in NCR. Pero wala eh. As in, we couldn't visit each other at all. And it really challenged our relationship because parang we weren't even 1 year. We were only like 4 months together.
Mhm.
And then it
Mhm.
really challenged our resilience and all of that. And then with in terms naman of other relationships such as like my family, I would say that we had a lot of bonding moments also because
Mhm.
everyone is just at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
So especially during the first 2 months of the pandemic, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay. So,
with family, yeah, there was really a lot of time with them. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah. So now you're starting to talk more on relationships. So I would like to ask lang, uh, how is your job as an OT relevant to those relationships?
Okay. Well, since it's part of our domain, to target also intimate relationships, and I think that it's something new to all of us, especially for the OTs, in the Philippines, because
Mhm.
most often, when we touch on intimacy, we come from a very conservative country, right? So it's
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
very we are very cultured. So it's a sensitive topic for a lot of people. But intimacy kasi doesn't really mean participating in sexual activities. No? It
Yeah.
also means basically the definition of intimacy is closeness, being close to someone. So it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be just um, like boyfriend, girlfriend, 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 something like that. It can just
Mm-hmm.
be close friendships also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
See, that's also the
mm-mm.
definition on OTPF4 about intimacy,
Yeah,
about intimate partner relationships, if I'm not mistaken. It's about maintaining a close relationship.
yeah, it is. Yeah. So can you imagine right now, no? There's a lot of with that, diba, we also get intimate with our friends. Yung mga
Mhm.
gimmicks, chika
Yeah.
moments. Diba, there's
Yeah.
also those moments of titas of Manila, yung mga ganyan. Diba?
Yeah.
Going to Mary
Those are,
Grace for coffee.
yeah, exactly. So, titas of Manila, right? And for couples naman, wala nang romantic date, diba? Pero now, I
Mm.
know that there is already. So, they're opening up more the restaurants now. And I think that people often miss that, intimacy part because there's spontaneity in it, right? You don't know what to expect out of your friends, out of your partners from in that moment. You know, um, when you are going out socializing.
Yeah.
So, ayun.
Yeah. So yeah, no, you mentioned na before we used to go out, we used to bump into people, introduce ourselves like that. So, how about those activities right now, like dating, meeting with friends? Like right now, it's popular to meet friends online, right, through Zoom. So, how were those activities affected by the current pandemic?
Okay. Actually, what I found out now, especially in the younger people, like, I don't know if they're Gen Z already, yung mga 18 years old, but there's
Yeah,
this
Yeah,
new
Gen Z.
platform that they're into. It's called Discord. So you
Discord.
can,
Mm,
Yeah.
Discord,
yeah.
yes.
So I found out through one of my family friends that he goes there and meets random people. Cause yeah, so
Mm.
I asked him, do you have like anything in common? He's like, no, these are just people that come together, meet online. So it's really common nowadays. And then a lot of the people now use different apps to communicate to one another, right? Especially families who are separated, who are like in other countries, something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
having, access to the internet is actually a huge help.
Actually,
Yeah, and being able to communicate. And then for for example, also like my sister, what she does with her friends is plan inumans with the letter E.
mm,
So
Yeah.
I do that then.
everyone, yeah, okay, there. So she
Zoom
does that, and
inuman.
then yeah, and then everyone just prepares their own drinks. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
they have games, but yeah, so it's just really no contact, minimal contact. But one of the things I observe nga lang, it can be also risky to meet, random people online
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
because you don't know their background. You don't know if they are actually not who they say they are. So that's one of the risks about it.
Risks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. A lot of people are really into online gaming now since everybody's online. So I think that's what Discord is for, if I'm not mistaken. It used to be a
Yeah.
gaming group or
Ah.
something like that, but now it's used for socialization, sometimes for online classes. I know some
Yeah.
people who use Discord for online classes. Like, yun nga, there are risks as compared to actually meeting other people face to face. Now
Yeah.
let's move to a very interesting topic since you've mentioned that you are in a relationship. Now, we would like to know if it's okay with you. What do you think is the impact of the current pandemic in terms of dating? Since we're already into going online, meeting new people
Mm-hmm.
online.
Oh, I think like a lot of us had to adapt, no,
Yeah.
because yeah, like we cannot date anymore. I myself couldn't go on dates before. Now, because when you talk about intimacy, one time I was actually very curious. What is intimacy, ba talaga? I mean, does it have something to do with sexual activities? Then I found out it doesn't have to include that. So
Mm-hmm.
I found out like in the internet, like in psychcentral.com, there were a lot of resources there. They were saying that that there are different forms of intimacy. Like it's not just the physical, there is also spiritual, like people praying together, something
Mm-hmm.
like that, like a prayer group. Then there's also
Yeah.
recreational intimacy, meaning you, let's say, go to the grocery together, cook together, like that. So it's and then there's also intellectual intimacy, which I found out is not just about, talking about politics or social dilemmas, but it can also be about interest or basically sharing of new ideas. Yeah.
So, ako rin, for my case then, Celine, kasi I'm in a relationship, pero I'm
Yeah.
in a long distance relationship. So,
Mm.
this pandemic really actually helped me stay at home more. So I don't use my data so much. So
Oh,
I'm always at home. I'm always on FaceTime. Yeah, so it
yeah.
didn't really affect me until until my boyfriend went home last
Mm-mm.
month, last September. So we couldn't go anywhere. We had all these plans. We planned to travel. We planned to go to the beach. Unfortunately,
Mm-mm.
we couldn't until it was around October. So how did the pandemic change your dating preferences? And maybe we
Oh,
could share it to our participants. Maybe we
yeah.
could get an
Okay.
idea of how we
Maybe you
date.
can
Sige.
share tips.
Sige.
Maybe you can share
Actually,
dating tips.
what I do with my boyfriend every week I visit him, but he has work. So, what I do for him also, or what we do together sometimes is we go to the grocery together, right? So we just do mostly the essential tasks
Yes.
like grocery, buying medicines, going to a hardware store,
Paying
right?
bills.
Yeah, so it was really
Paying
adulting talaga.
bills.
As in, walang date. Pero there was this one time that we planned a date in Antipolo. So it was an open air restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and then they only allowed like maximum 10 people, 10 guests there. So that was our way of dating. It was our first date ever. The
in
rest of the
in a
time,
while.
yeah, so the rest of the time I would just stay in his place, or we just watch Netflix or talk about our friends, or
Mm-hmm.
even video call our friends, our common
Yeah.
friends. Yeah, so it's very limiting actually.
Yes, you have little choices to go to in terms of places to go
Yeah.
to. May I just share that last early November,
Mm-mm.
the reason why my boyfriend came home was because he had the opportunity to come home from
Mm.
the States, and it was our anniversary last a few weeks ago, a week ago. So we had the opportunity to eat out. Pero we went to a place, we made sure to book a few days early, and we went to a place that's open also. We couldn't
Mm-mm.
eat, I can't dine in medyo closed areas without open ventilation. So I guess that's one thing that really changed then for me.
Mm-hmm.
There are limited choices. Some of those are really fine dining pa. You can't go
Yeah.
to the movies, even the mall. And medyo paranoid going to the mall. Just go
Actually.
around,
Yeah.
malamig. It's not
Yeah,
like that anymore. It's different.
true.
So, what about you, Beth?
Me naman kasi, I'm not dating anyone. I date myself. So I do a lot of
Self-love.
self-care. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I do. Self-care, and then yeah, that's it lang mostly talaga. Sometimes I talk with my friends online, but other than that, I don't go out at all. I
Mm.
go out when I get deliveries, but other than that, I don't go I don't go
Yeah.
out at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Especially now with the social distancing, it's
yeah.
a necessary action that we should all take. But then it's also very
Mm-mm.
isolating, right?
Yeah.
It's
You can't
really
even hold
isolating.
hands at the mall.
Oh.
I was at the mall the other day for errands because I was with my
Mm.
boyfriend. We were holding
Yeah.
hands. The guards were asking us to separate.
Really? That's odd
Really?
because I hold hands with my boyfriend. Nobody told us. Yeah.
That was at the mall here in the south. They asked us to separate. They were
Baka it
asking us,
differs per
ma'am, bawal
area.
po. Yeah, I
Oh,
guess it
I
depends.
see.
It depends on
Wow.
Oh.
the mall, the establishment. Now let's get the perspective of one of our actors,
Mm-mm.
Bea. Ayan.
Yes. Hello.
Kasi
So,
Bea recently got married during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
yes, during the pandemic, last October.
Wow.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I do agree with you, Celine, Miss Celine. Like, during the you mentioned about the impact on dating, and then how there are
Mm-mm.
other ways to date. Um, I don't know if you guys are aware with the 5 different love languages. So I
Oh,
do
Mm-hmm.
agree
yes, yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
So aside from, so my husband and I, we've been trying out different ways to express intimacy. So there's acts of service, then
Mm-mm.
gifts, words of affirmation. So that's how we kind of um, dealt with that part in our marriage or pre-marriage
Mm-mm.
wedding.
To keep it
And then
alive.
Yeah.
yeah, so if there's essential, if there's essential dating, as you mentioned, there's also essential wedding. So everything was cut down to what was only important. So we only had 15 guests. So with how you
15.
mentioned the dating aspect, it's very similar to also preparing for the married life, and then also
Mm-mm.
us how we prepared for the last few months. So it's very interesting.
So
So
it was an intimate wedding for
yes,
you.
we only had 15 guests.
Wow. Did you plan?
Oh.
I'm just wondering, did you plan ahead of time for a slightly bigger wedding or
Our original guest list, we were supposed to have 150 guests.
ah.
Oh.
So
So
parang
not
you
that.
just invited ninangs, ninongs like that.
Just one set of primary sponsors,
Ah,
and then
okay.
the rest of the guests were our immediate family. So his sisters, siblings, and my siblings, my parents. So
Wow, that's very
yes,
small.
that's true.
Yeah.
So it kind of, you get to reflect, the pandemic, which what are the essential needs for you to start a wedding. It doesn't have to be, because we were processing our papers during the pandemic, so we didn't
Oh,
even we
Oh,
only got our marriage license, I think, 4 days
wow.
before the
Okay.
pandemic. So that was kind of really stressful. So
Yeah. Going
but
to the city hall and
yes, that
then
one, yes.
yeah. Did you have to line up?
um
Or
yeah, so social distancing, all those,
oh, so
Oh.
maraming tao din.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Matagal. Matagal, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's true.
Bea, I'm
Mm-mm.
just
Okay.
curious, how did you trim down your guest list? Of course, a lot of your
Mm.
friends weren't invited anymore to the more intimate wedding. How did it affect your relationship, or if it did?
We well, what we did is we sent out. We decided as a couple to just limit it to immediate family because it was easier for us to explain to our friends na because of the quarantine protocol and safety of everyone, at least immediate family, we encounter them already on a daily basis, so in a
Mm-mm.
way we know their health status, and then we just explain it to them that hopefully when the pandemic ends we'll have another reception. And
Mm-hmm.
virtually we did Facebook live. We made a group, so that's how we invited some of our friends and family
So
to,
they were able to attend in a way your
yes,
wedding.
in attend, yeah, virtually. Yeah.
Mm,
Okay. Did they dress
okay.
up?
Well, I don't think
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but yeah, so there. So um, we were grateful. Everyone understood the situation. Our friends were very supportive with our decision as well, our relatives, to keep it safe and very simple.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah. So
That
in
was
a way, I guess it was an advantage because you also get to save money, for your marriage also.
yes, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
That's true.
for your future. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that.
You're
Very true. A lot
welcome.
of people are also getting married. Despite the pandemic, a
Yeah.
lot of people still got engaged, still got married.
Mm-mm.
So I guess the
Yeah.
pandemic didn't really stop them from living happily ever after.
Expressing,
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So,
Um, so okay, we have another reactor. So
Mm-mm.
let's call Mr. Denmark Dimapilis. He's also an occupational therapist in Trece Martires. So hi, Sir Denmark.
Evening.
hi,
Hi.
sir. Good evening.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, for me, it's a matter of like the form of establishing intimacy was changed, but the
Mm-hmm.
quality
Okay.
and the end product did not. No,
Oh.
still the same end goal that we all want to be intimate. No, it's just
Mm-mm.
Mm.
that at some point creativity surfaced, but all these components are still there. Time, like the quality time, the understanding, respect, the
Yeah.
no, it may
Mm.
have a different form because of the pandemic, but still the same output, intimacy, right? So, and you get to have more time in knowing who you're with.
Mm, that's true.
No,
It's actually
sa yung time,
a good point.
you'll
Yeah.
realize na hindi ko pa pala siya ganun kakilala.
Kilala.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
this,
because we spend a lot of time on the road, diba? And then now that we're always at home, so there's more time to, interact with our loved ones now. Yeah.
mababaw, you find mababaw, no? But
Mm-mm.
these mababaw things are the key components, no, for intimacy to happen. And then you
Mm.
realize that importante to, no, importante to. And before finally settling down, which I believe that's the end goal of our intimate relationship, okay, masasabi mo sa sarili mo na we're able to pass this pandemic.
Mm.
And
That's true.
this could be a barometer for those listening. This pandemic was created probably to be a barometer.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's it for now.
Thank you, sir. Sir,
Okay.
maybe because Bea, one of our actors, just got married recently. May we know how long have you been married to your wife?
10 years this
Oh,
December.
10 years. Ten
Oh.
years.
Ooh, wow.
And you have children?
Just one biological.
Oh.
Okay.
One biological and a lot of students, I think.
Yes, yeah.
So, may I ask how your relationship with your wife, with your daughter also, how is it now during the pandemic, especially now your child is also doing online education,
Fine.
if ever, right? So how do you guys communicate with one another? How do you express intimacy in relationships now?
I cannot share that exactly because,
Oh, okay, okay.
but this pandemic is quite surprising for me.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized there's so many things I still don't know with my partner.
Oh.
Okay.
Get to
I think
appreciate
that's
her more as a person and as my partner. And for my son, I get to spend more time with him. No, I now,
That's great.
at some point, nag-iisip na kaming mag-asawa na wag na siyang ibalik sa regular school. I mean,
oh.
sa regular thing na mag-home ano na lang din kami. Because it works for him. Works for him. So, I think this pandemic made us realize how important each one of us is. Yeah.
It's a good point, and
Okay.
it's a good it's good that we have a different point of view from somebody who's been married for 10 years but still discovering something new,
Yeah.
something
Mm-mm.
different with his wife. So I'm sure our participants our participants would actually experience that, and eventually it's good to know it now, as early as now. Thank you,
Correct.
Sir Denmark. Thank you, Bea.
Thank
We
you
will
po.
be
Thank
calling
you.
you again on stage later for your reactions.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Now,
Thank
for
you.
our participants, you may send in your questions to our questions through just message them here. Just send them a chat so that we could collect your questions and we can ask them to our speaker later.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, Miss Celine, we have another question for you. So, uh, with you being an OT, no, how does your knowledge in OT apply to your personal experiences in handling these relationships?
Sige. Well, a lot there, because as OTs, we're all very flexible. We know how to
Yeah.
adapt. We know how to stay creative, right? So, like for me, for example, based on personal experience, me and my boyfriend, we had to stay creative as well as stay safe during this pandemic. So this, even if we couldn't see our friends and all of that, um, I think it's a very handy skill for us all OTs that we're very
Mm-hmm.
adaptable and very flexible to how things are, and we all know how difficult change can be,
Yes.
especially now. No, because everything changed. Our routines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even our activities changed. We don't anymore go to work. Everything is online. Well, some may still go to work, but then yeah, it's very different now. And then what else? Beth, can you repeat the question again, please?
Okay. The question was how your knowledge as an OT affected your
Yeah.
personal experiences in these relationships. So how do these knowledge apply in your relationships?
Okay. Well, because like Miss Bea mentioned earlier that there are five love languages, and one of
Mm-hmm.
them was
Mm,
physical touch. I remember it's physical touch, words of affirmation, gift. What else were the other two?
Acts of service.
Time.
acts of
Yeah,
service.
quality time and acts of service. So the one that can actually be affected a lot is physical touch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
not a
Yeah.
lot of people, especially like with me and with you also, Dada, I couldn't see my boyfriend for 6 months. I couldn't hug him. I couldn't hold his hand. Voila. And then, so
I
it
know
was
how it
really,
feels.
yeah. So if you look at it, it's we can actually do like a sensory approach if you think about it. Now we don't just it. they can actually just send us, let's say, a T-shirt, then we can just smell them. Diba? Yeah, so there are other senses that we can use, not just physical touch, in order to have those intimate moments as well, right? So, what I found out, like, is that in the OT world, when it comes to sexual activities and intimacy, it's
Yeah.
not often talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in our country. And there are actually some who are not able to even participate because of their different conditions. For example, like some have high anxiety, some may have a physical condition that they cannot perform. And having approaching it differently with using your other senses, not just touch, but also smell. No, it can also be sound, right? Sometimes, but like in the movies, they turn on the music, they set the environment, maraming candles. So it's really
Yeah.
being creative about it, changing the environment, changing but the activity is the same, you know? Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
also like to say that I think being an OT really helped me adjust to the changes that the pandemic has brought in terms of my relationships with my friends. Since I cannot see them, we used to see each other every week, every month. I used to go out with my work friends every after work, every Friday to eat
Mm-mm.
out. And my long distance relationship. It was last month, I think. I had the opportunity to go to Batangas for a quick R&R, quick vacation, and I think I cannot emphasize it enough that even though there are a lot of restrictions, we were able to go into the travel bubble. There's this travel bubble where we had to take our own test. We had to test ourselves. We had to test negative first of COVID. We had to do all these health declarations. Na there's occupational balance in
Mm.
amidst the pandemic. You just have to find a way to be able to perform or to be able to find leisure activities that is COVID friendly, I think.
Yeah.
Right now
Yeah.
there aren't very many
Yeah.
options.
Yeah. Actually, like for me, I went to the beach with my boyfriend on my birthday because at that time, I before that we weren't allowed to go outside of NC. Well, no, we were allowed to go out, but I remember in Batangas they had checkpoints.
Mhm,
But
they had checkpoints. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and then there's this private beach that me and my boyfriend went to, and then there were no people because it's private, and you have to like schedule ahead of time. So parang for us, it was like a breather talaga na, oh, different environment. Right?
Same.
You get
Yeah.
to, yeah, you get to appreciate the little things now. You don't realize na going out on a date can mean so much pala to
Yes,
every one
that
of
is
us.
true. That's
Yeah.
so true.
So,
So that's
Yeah.
exactly how I felt when I saw that the beach was there was nobody there. Kami lang, just me,
yeah.
my boyfriend, and the staff. We had
Yeah.
the pool, the beach, the shore all to ourselves. It's really something that I think that helped me go through this last few weeks of
Yeah.
work. Very
Yeah.
Yeah.
different.
I think it's because being in a different environment or setting a different environment, even if you're in your own homes, but you decide to rearrange your furniture or redecorate.
Change
I
things
think
up.
that it reminds us that things change. Na today pala is a
Mm.
Monday and not a Saturday because all of the days seem the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about how you handle your relationships with your clients at maybe
Mm.
Motivate?
Mm.
Well, now everything is through telehealth. So, at my clinic, I do plan on opening in January because I'm moving the clinic from Katipunan to Quezon Avenue. So, it's still gonna be open in January. I realized that during the pandemic, a lot of them had to stop therapy because you, can you imagine like all the changes? I remember there was a lot of um like a lot of people lost their jobs, right? Especially those in the airline, who are working for airlines, who are working in the malls.
Service.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it was they had to stop, and then actually recently they all started coming back because they realized that it's very hard to deal with the change right now. Although my
Mhm.
relationship with them is still the same. No, we ask each other how we are, and then they're experiencing the same thing that I myself and everyone is experiencing, like how to cope with this change that we're always at home, right? Yeah,
True.
yeah.
There are so many things that we have to do, not just us. If we are having a hard time as OTs, what more our clients,
Of
what more
course, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
our patients,
Yeah,
our
one of the easy things kasi about having an adult clinic na mental health, um, diba, versus pedia setting. Like,
mm-hmm,
they tell you what's wrong, and then
mm-hmm,
it's easy to establish
Yeah.
that relationship. It's easy to establish that relationship with your clients. Unlike in pedia, you need to be physically there. So
Mm-mm.
I just think that for me, it was more of an advantage na, okay, we can just talk about it, or I can instruct them to prepare materials. I don't need a caregiver there. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's easier. Yeah, slight, yeah. Although it requires still a lot of planning on our part, right?
mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
we cannot set the environment for them, and then yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
how do you guide your clients to, maintaining relationships, social relationships, intimate
Ah,
relationships
well,
during the
I
pandemic?
actually I encourage them to call their friends. Like kahit set up, let's say for every month they can meet up with their friends, and
Mm-hmm.
let's say every last week of the month that's when they can get together. Whether they are complete or not, they still push through. Actually, that's what my boyfriend has been. He's been doing that with his friends. So every month, whether they are complete or not, because they are a lot, they're like 10 people. Sometimes in the call, they're only three, and I realized na parang that's really one way to reconnect, by
Yeah.
using our different resources, especially the internet now. Yeah. And and not only that, like, because some of them also have family problems, how they can express their
Mm.
emotions with their families. So I encourage them to talk openly, and not just seek for validation, but also like with their families. I ask them also to keep an open mind, because they can be very judgmental with their own family members. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that actually. Yeah. So there.
Actually, I agree with that. No,
Mm-mm.
I'm actually like that with my friends also. So
Mm-mm.
it's not monthly, but about like once every 2 months, like that, we
Yeah.
meet, and then we're actually a lot also. We're like half of our batch. So we meet, and then whoever's available, we'd meet
Yeah.
and then play games, talk about what's been
Mm,
happening, how's work, how's life in general. So
yeah.
yeah, it's been actually really helpful um for me. Actually, at the start of the pandemic, I had a hard time coping. So I slowly started getting uh, uh, engaging with people, and then it's been helpful. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it would be helpful also
Mm-mm.
for our clients, no, if
Yeah.
they engage.
Mm-mm.
They don't even have to stay for the entire duration,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, they can
Agree.
set boundaries, like I'd stay for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, like that.
Yeah.
They can do that and then just leave
Yeah. Mm-mm.
nicely. Yeah.
Yeah, especially for the clients like who are not the open kind. I
Yeah.
actually ask them to just leave a message, on Messenger or Instagram or whatever platform they use, social media platform. I just tell them leave a message for your friend, and then for sure they'll get back to you. Because right now we're all disconnected from one
Mm-mm.
another, so we have to try to reconnect, and
Mm-mm.
leaving just a simple message of, hey, I was just wondering how you are, diba? And it can make
Yeah.
a difference talaga. Yeah, and that's what I've been doing personally, and I found that, a lot of people talaga are having a hard time. Yeah. And also
Mm-mm.
like especially those who are dating now. I remember like in a support group that I saw one of them was asking, "How's that? How can we date other people? Despite having all of these dating apps, we cannot meet up, right?
Yeah.
They can't meet up. So
Yun, baka
if
catfish.
ever, yeah. So um, dating apps are very fast, convenient, but they can be risky nga. So you know what I would actually suggest for people if they do plan on dating, it's better if you uh know that person like a friend of a friend. That's how I actually met my boyfriend. Because at least you have a friend who can corroborate, his background and all of that. So,
Yeah.
it's safer that way, knowing na
Mm-hmm.
uh, you have a common friend and
Mm-hmm.
he or she can probably help out. Yeah.
Is it the same for
For
friendships?
Well, for friendships, yeah, like well, with creating new friends, it depends. Like in OTPF4, not that we have peer group now, like
Mm-hmm.
having support groups, especially now, a lot of people I know are being diagnosed or struggling with anxiety and depression.
mm,
They try to look for people with common with the same common interests like that. Now they're trying to look for people who are experiencing the same thing as them. So um, for me, I would because I know that there are a lot now online, yung mga online support groups. So
mm,
that's where they get to meet people, where they get to talk very even if they don't meet in person, even if they don't see each other, face to face like in the camera, they have somebody to share their feelings with, and they know that these people who have the same experiences also will be able to answer back and relate.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
That's true.
yeah.
That's true. For my case, I started playing this online game. I'm not sure if it's an online game, but there's
Yeah.
a lot of group on Facebook that there are a lot of groups on Facebook with Filipino players, with players from other countries. I even created a new Twitter account for it so that I could
Ah.
meet other people who are also playing the game. It
Mm,
actually helped me a lot during the first few months of the
Mm-mm.
mm.
quarantine wherein I wasn't doing telehealth yet. I had no idea where this pandemic will bring us.
Pandemic was go.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it
Actually,
really took
games
my
really
mind
help
off of
nga.
things. It
Yeah.
does. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, there's a game now. It's I think it's actually a very social game. Um, you basically you collect there's missions, you collect stuff, but then in the game you form relationships with other players, like you form like a duo groups like that, and then you perform missions together, and it's
Mm.
actually really great because you can chat with them also.
Mhm.
You get to meet them, so yeah. And also I just like to share recently I saw an organization. I'm not really sure which one in particular, but I saw it. They were advertising that they were organizing speed dating
Oh.
online.
Online.
Yeah,
Wow.
so yeah, online. And then that organization actually they screen also those participants, and
Ah.
then so you
Okay.
register, and then they'd screen you if you can be accepted or not. So
Mm.
actually madaming advances now with technology, and I'm amazed
Yeah.
na you can actually do speed dating online pala. I mean that's possible. Yeah.
Wow. Did they create a different app for this or?
I think it was on Discord, or
Ah, I
either
see.
Discord or
Discord.
Zoom, either of the two, and
Ah,
then
okay.
yeah, so it's great actually, but
Yeah.
I didn't join it,
I haven't
pero
tried
I
it
saw it
yet.
lang. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we
Okay.
have
yeah.
let's call on stage Bea.
Hi.
Hi Bea.
Hi.
I, I can't
Do you have
hear the
anything to share with regards to what
um
we were talking about a while ago?
yes, I'd like to add on or the part where you asked about the knowledge and how you use your knowledge as an OT during the pandemic.
Mm-mm.
So
Mhm.
we all know it was a very stressful time for everyone. So what I did, inoti ko yung sarili ko in terms of mindfulness and
Yeah.
yoga.
Mhm.
So usually, especially during the pre-planning stage of marriage, yung hindi pa talaga kami nagsama ng husband ko, I would usually crave for, a tight hug. Kind of
Mm-mm.
like, stressful na nga mag-plan ng wedding. Stressful pa yung current situation natin. So,
Then,
I kind of use those cognitive behavioral techniques on myself to kind of just get through the situation. And then I think I saw sa mga comments, what if you did mention going out on open spaces, change of pace? What My husband and I, what we do is when everything gets stressful is we go sa Cebu kasi it's easy access yung bukid. So just, it's very near
Ah.
to us. I'm based in Cebu. So like less than 5 minutes nasa may bukid area na. So
open area talaga.
Wow, that's great.
but unfortunately for some, I do understand if you are in the city,
Mhm.
especially sa metro talaga, it's not entirely accessible. That's why I use a lot. Another good idea would be to use cognitive behavioral internal, like I like to term it as like internal travel. So meditation and mindfulness, yun, it can do a different.
Mm-mm.
And then I usually sometimes put videos na parang nasa beach
Yeah.
ako, parang ganun. So trick ko na lang
Ah.
yung mind ko na okay, so relax, parang ganun.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
then siguro the third thing that I want to share as well, 'di ba, we were talking
Mhm.
about clients, how we help our clients.
Mhm.
I work with kids. Um so one thing that was really challenging for us was some of these some very young pa, uh their main interaction was the parents kasi wala nang exposure to the clinics, start ng pandemic,
Other
start ng
kids.
therapy nila, they're just at home. Usually one is I teach the parents floor time. So I tell the parents, you have to be playful for your child.
Mhm.
Don't be an adult para yung developmental niya so far nagmamatch na playful yung environment niya.
Yung
Another is we've been discussing about kahit cousins or
Mhm.
yung mga immediate na those who are not exposed then outside, then they slowly. Kasi yun din yung isang challenge being a pediatric OT is how can you get these kids to socialize at this,
Yeah.
how can they build intimacy with other kids their age when sila mismo hindi sila stay at home. Sila
And
talaga yung
I have a kid na only child, tapos he transferred schools, he doesn't know anybody sa online class, he's struggling talaga. He misses his old school.
that's true, yes.
So, lahat na ng ways for, we do messenger calls, he calls me, ako na lang yung friend niya.
friend.
And the other clients in our clinic, he calls para there's still this sort of friendship, some sort of relationship na nasa-sustain despite staying at home, staying at a condo where he cannot go out. Yeah, I agree to that. Sobrang struggle.
That's true. So yun.
Okay.
I guess that's it. Dun sa ano, I
Thank
do.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, she
Thank you.
mentioned that she does OT to herself. I also did the same. So, because one of my hobbies was, well, it still is crochet. So I decided to join this Facebook group on Crochet Lovers Philippines. And then, so parang I invested a lot in my hobby. So,
Mm.
like-minded individuals like me who like to create things with yarn, we actually they're like selling. We're just making products and then we sell it to one another or to other people, right? Or we connect each other to like where can we buy our yarn. So I think it helps to join like different groups with common
Yeah.
interests so that you don't feel so alone.
Yes, that's true. That's
Mhm.
what I did for my
Yeah,
game.
that's true.
Yeah.
Joined a lot of
Yeah.
groups, not knowing who they are, and invite them to my island. So
Yeah.
we have another question, Miss Lynn.
Yeah.
How do you develop personal and shared boundaries among your close relationships? Or what
Mm.
can you say about developing boundaries among our relationships?
Well, now that especially now, no, in this pandemic, and we have a lot of time, like with our families, especially, it may help to also have time for yourself, right? Because everyone does their own thing, right? And then like for example, my mom, she always asks how we are. She always tells us how she feels, pero
Mhm.
it comes to a point na it may be the same thing over and over na, uh, can't you handle it yourself? Diba? Something like that.
Yeah.
So one of the boundaries there is probably suggesting like, okay, I don't know if I can help you, but maybe you can talk to someone who who will not be biased about it. No, um, yeah. Other boundaries. Especially for those like I have observed with people who have borderline personality disorder,
Mhm.
they have a hard time. They have abandonment issues, right? So there's really no boundaries with that. Now, they have to take also into consideration how the other person is feeling. Besides how you feel, there's also social interest in other people's well-being. Because if you show empathy, not just sympathy but empathy, then I think
Yeah.
that you'll be able to understand na, okay, so this is my limit na. Parang this is how much this person can take, and maybe I should stop or something like that, right? So it takes a
Yeah.
certain of awareness, I guess, also. Yeah. And so with other boundaries, well, right now, actually, if you think about it, there are a lot of boundaries already. No, you cannot go
There
out.
are.
Yeah, there are. It's more, parang I think the question is more of how to cope with these boundaries na lang. Kasi maraming limitations ngayon eh. Yeah. And especially if we are very limited with our resources, let's say we really cannot go outside, then um, it takes a lot of creativity. Like for example, if you cannot go out of town, you can decide na lang to take a walk outside. That's what I did during the first 2-3 months of
Mhm.
the pandemic. I would take a walk outside with my parrot. So he doesn't fly away. So he's just on my shoulder. And then it's really a change of environment na having a different activity and then seeing the random things outside, like, oh, we have a neighbor pala who is just starting to exercise, because before I didn't notice them exercising. Di ba?
You notice
Yeah.
the
So
you notice
yeah.
neighbors now.
Yeah, so parang I've also noticed, like in our neighborhood, in our community, there's a lot more of those who are having small businesses, like they're selling
Mhm.
their own pastries, right? Or um because, or let's say if they are a supplier of something, they'll tell you, you can buy from me because I supply, like, rice, flour,
Yeah.
like that. So it's just really making do right now with, given our limitations. So I think it helps to get closer also to your community, because
Mhm.
at least you will find out na, okay, if somebody has, let's say, COVID, then maybe everybody should also be careful, don't panic, like that. Or it's just really, because before, can you imagine, we were never close with our neighbors, right? And then all of a sudden, okay, everybody's home. What now? So,
Yeah.
How do you
um,
approach somebody you haven't met but live,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, like
nearby?
for example, the next door neighbor, we're not close to them, and then all of a sudden, even our maids, they make chica with the other maids. Yeah, outside now when they're walking outside, and then kahit going to the convenience store. So it's really trying to find, being creative on, despite these boundaries. Yeah.
So
So
let's call on
That's
stage
right.
Sir Denmark.
Yeah.
Yes, hi.
Hi,
Hi.
sir.
Hi, sir. We have one question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So with today's discussion, no, do you have some thoughts about how to keep a healthy relationship?
How to keep a healthy relationship? Well, allow me to say first, intimacy is now a source of mental stability. If you have somebody else there and you're intimate with him or her, keep it. Keep it that way. It's a source of mental stability. All right. So, uh, can you repeat your question again? Sorry.
Okay. If you have some thoughts on keeping healthy relationships now.
Well, it's the same old story. Even without the pandemic, it's a
Mm-mm.
continuous communication, mutual respect. All right, and the status of your heart really matters. All right, your willingness. As they say, I mean, this is a cliche. I mean, when you love somebody, it's a day-to-day decision to love that person. So it remains the same despite of the pandemic. And did I answer your question, ma?
Yeah.
All right. But allow me also to share that,
Mm.
yeah, tama din si Ma'am Celine. No? I heard that there are like so many levels of intimacy. But, during this pandemic, it's always the right time to be intimate with God. That's one. That's one. That's our main source of intimacy. It's okay to be intimate with yourself. It's now the right time to listen to yourself.
Yes.
It's okay to be intimate with your dreams. And sit down, get your drawing board, plan ahead on how you can achieve it. Be intimate with your dreams. Of course, be intimate with your special someone. I mentioned that before. All
Mm.
right. This could also be a time to form intimacy to those who you want to be close with. Tama din si Ma'am Celine kanina. You never imagine you'll be close with someone else at this time, no? At this pandemic time, no? Right? Be intimate as an OT. No, we are all OTs. We need to be intimate with our passion. We need to be intimate with our passion. True, many people needs our help at this point. And we could only reach what? Few people. Few people. Right? But allow me to say this. You being a model in handling the stress could be your best contribution in our community. In our community. And lastly, be intimate with your other self. You can do more than being an OT. Pwede ka maging plantito, plantita. Tama naman yung sabi. You'll discover, marunong pala ako mag-bake. No, that's the other self. Na-miss mo yan.
Yeah.
Na-miss mo yan. So this is just high time for you to, allow it to surface. Allow it to surface and be intimate
To
with that.
explore yourself.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sir
Thank you.
Denmark. Yeah,
I
we
really
have
have to agree with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he made good
Okay.
points. I like what he said. He really
Yeah.
prepared for today's talk. And it was good to
Yeah.
hear then from somebody who has been in a relationship for a long time, has been in a marriage for a long time and is
Mm.
still learning a lot from his partner. Now we have a
Yeah.
question. We have time for one question. I think it's 5:59. This was a sent
Yeah.
in question to our questions crew. How do you prevent someone from total isolation from everyone else when one seems to have less and less self esteem, especially with having less to no accomplishment with work or school during the pandemic?
That's a really good question. So having less and less to the point that they have parang imploded in themselves, shut out everyone.
Yes, and how do you
Um,
prevent them from total isolation?
Mm.
yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I've experienced that before. Na I really shut out everyone because there was a time in my life na um around for 2 years I didn't talk to any of my friends. Parang I only focused on my work and in school at that time, and it really is just getting it going through the day, day by day. And if ever, it really helps to ask also open-ended questions: who, what, where, when, how, rather than yes or no questions to this person. If if you want to reach out to them, because if you ask WH questions, um it allows them more choices, to answer. Na who would they like to talk to, what would they like to do, so that you can, it's in a way it's trying to reconnect with them and allowing them those different answers, whatever they may be. And then if they cannot answer, give them choices. Okay, so that at least you'll know
Mm,
na, oh, okay, they won't be, this is
mm,
what this person wants. So at least you know na this is something that they want to achieve for themselves, and hopefully maybe you can help them out, right? And if it has come to the point na, let's say, they may have been experiencing depression already, you may
mm,
suggest, not instruct, but more of suggest, would you, have you considered uh seeing a professional for this? Kasi
Mhm.
it may be out of your hands already. As a friend can only do so much, but
yeah.
a professional can do more,
Um,
right? Because it's their forte, it's their area of,
Yeah.
expertise. So
expertise.
it really helps to give suggestions rather than do this, do that, than
Mm-mm.
instructing them, and ask WH questions. Okay, yeah. So there.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Celine. So
Thank
I think
you.
my
Thank
main
you.
takeaway here is
Thank
that we are
you.
all going through the same thing. And while the situations change, our relationships stay the same, whether it's a new relationship or a relationship that we managed to sustain
Mm,
throughout the pandemic. And that intimacy is a source of mental stability, just like what Sir Denmark said, whether it be intimacy towards yourself, towards others, or your dream.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Okay. And also, no, we talked about appreciating the little things like getting to know our neighbors, getting to know ourselves, our family members, our friends, our wife, husband, like that. So, and then a good change in environment is a good source of sanity right now. And then being flexible really helps right now during the pandemic. No?
Yes, I agree.
So, yeah. Okay. And then we'd like to thank you, Miss Celine, and then our reactors as well, Miss Bea and Sir
And Sir
Denmark. We'd like to
Denmark.
thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank you for
accepting our
joining us this
invite. Thank you for
afternoon.
joining
Thank you
us.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'd also like to thank everyone who joined us this afternoon, spent an hour with us to talk about intimacy and relationships amidst the pandemic. And before we go, we'd like to invite you to our next episode on November 16, Monday at 5 p.m., which will be about taking care of our mental health through mindfulness. So we will be posting it in the PAOT Facebook page, so you may register. So our speaker will be Miss Karen Ann
Karen
Navarro.
Navarro.
So with that, would like to thank you again for joining us this afternoon. Thank you, Miss Celine. Thank you,
Mhm.
Beth.
Thank you, Miss Celine.
And
Thank you, teacher.
we hope you enjoyed our talk this afternoon. See you on Monday.
Yeah, and we hope you learned
Thank
something
you.
also.
Bye. Thank
Thank
you.
you.